They called it the Wild West for a reason. As Mabel Crombie looked out the train window, she noticed nothing but empty prairie. It would take the hard work of families from all over Scotland and England to transform the barren land near Brooks into the Duke of Sutherland Colony. In 1909, CPR management decided to irrigate their large holdings between Calgary and Medicine Hat, in between the Red Deer River and the Bow. With this news, the Duke of Sutherland invested heavily in the area, building homes for workmen on 12 farms, with barns for horses, dairy, cattle, and pigs. The Duke needed settlers to live and work on these farms, so a campaign to recruit families began. Robert B. Sangster was the first to arrive. He managed and oversaw all of the Duke's operations in the area. His family lived in the bungalow, a big home on the middle farm that the Duke himself used when he visited. The Phillips were another one of the first families. Mr. Phillips was a butcher by trade, so he showed settlers how to butcher and cure their meat. The Maxteds came next. Jim Moat drove the family to their brand new home, which included a 2-bedroom house, a barn with 4 stalls for horses, a chicken coop, a pigsty, and a byre for 2 cattle. The barren landscape left an impression, but not as much as the mosquitoes. The Pattons and Shields arrived shortly after. Bill Philpott was often the man to greet these families with a wagon at the train station. He brought his family over in the spring of 1912 to work as a general handyman on the bungalow. Although he didn't stay on the farm for too long, the Philpotts built quite the legacy in the Brooks area as beekeepers. They still produce honey today on the Dutchess Highway. Like the Philpotts, some settlers eventually ended up on their own paths. After working for the Duke and the CPR, Charlie Bell bought land and farmed for himself along the Trans-Canada Highway. Many tourists remember him giving rides to the kids who stopped by to look at the horses. Single men also left their homes to brave the New West. This included people like Jimmy Small, George Duff, Bill and Bob Taylor, Alex Sutherland, Bill Addison, George Petrie, and Dick Forbes. Jimmy Small remembers about 30 of them came at that time. He didn't think he'd stick around for too long, but that changed when other Scottish families began to settle. The Garrows were some of the more successful farmers on the estate. Mr. Garrow made the smart choice of hiring irrigators from Idaho who taught him how to properly farm on irrigated land. He even won the first prize for alfalfa seed in Toronto and second prize at the Chicago International Fair. The journey from Europe to Canada was never easy, but multiple accidents made it much more difficult for the Crombies. Their ship hit an iceberg on their way across the Atlantic, and their train derailed into the Ottawa River where several people were killed. Eventually, the family, along with their 3 children, made it to the colony. To make things feel more like home, they took trees by the river and planted them in their yard. Jimmy Small and Mabel Crombie got married in 1918. By then, the colony had grown. There was a schoolhouse which became the center for activities like dances and church. People from all over came to the dances. Mr. Small was one of the many Scotsmen on the fiddle, providing the music. Another pastime included painting gophers. In the summer, gophers in yellow, red, and blue were seen in the pasture. Football was also a favorite, with games being played between the North and South Farms and Brooks. Settlers also looked forward to annual events like the Christmas concert and a fair at the end of August. And it wouldn't be a Canadian winter without curling. Farmers banded together to make a curling rink on the Phillips farm. As the years continued, some farms were rented out, others were sold. The 4th Duke of Sutherland died in 1913, and the colony got little direction afterward, which led to its downfall. It was sold to the Eastern Irrigation District in 1935. The motives of the 4th Duke of Sutherland may have been personal, but the effects of his founding of the estate reached farther than those just living there. He pumped thousands of dollars into the early Brooks economy by providing work and supporting the community. He brought many settlers to Western Canada at a time when growth in the Western provinces was crucial for Canada to develop as an independent nation.